The anime begins right in the middle of a wild shootout inside a building, where a horde of thugs is up against just one dude. These brainless goons throw everything they've got at him, but in seconds, our guy wipes them out like he's swatting flies. Enter Taro Sakamoto, a legendary assassin feared by criminals and worshipped by other assassins. The guy was the top dog, the goat of hitmen, until he fell head over heels in love. Taro traded in his assassin badge for a wedding ring, got hitched, had a kid, and let's just say he embraced the dad bod. Fast forward a few years, and now he's the friendly neighborhood convenience store clerk, working alongside his wife, Aoi. Life is pretty chill until one of his fanboy assassins, Shin, finally tracks him down. Meanwhile, at the store, Taro is manning the register, watching a kid play toy archery, promising a free juice if the kid hits the target. Spoiler alert, the kid misses by a mile. Things take a turn when the kid drops a jar of ink, splashing it all over some dude's pristine white pants. Mr. Clean Pants isn't having it and grabs the kid by the neck, ready to unleash his inner Hulk. Just when it looks like the kid's about to meet his doom, Taro intervenes. In his imagination, he stabs the guy's head with a pen. He just grabs the guy's fist, stopping him cold. The dude, scared straight, bolts, and the kid tearfully thanks Taro. Shin, lurking in the background, is in awe. He imagines Taro using a pen to hit the carotid artery like it's just another Tuesday. Shin introduces himself, a psychic assassin, and practically begs Taro to come back to the assassin world, flabbergasted that the legendary Hitman has swapped killing for cashiering. Taro, unfazed, makes it clear he's done with the assassin gig. Shin, frustrated, can't believe the legend has gone soft, trading his killer instinct for family life. He tries to drag Taro back, but Taro's already out, like way out. He's not about to swap his peaceful life for the bloody business of his past, no matter how much Shin pleads. The legend of Sakamoto might be alive, but his assassin days? Those are dead and buried. Taro is just about to enjoy a humble cup of ramen, which totally disappoints Shin. Back in the day, Taro thrived on combat rations, not this instant noodle stuff. Shin barely recognizes the once legendary assassin. Just as Shin pulls out a cigarette, ready to light up, wham! The cigarette gets sliced clean in half in a blink. Taro smoothly sheathes his blade, pointing to the no smoking sign like a responsible citizen. Shin, however, is stunned, realizing that chubby or not, Taro could take him out anytime with that lightning-fast reflex. Right then, a passerby greets Taro and asks for a favor. Shin, ever the suspicious assassin, assumes this is some covert hit request. Turns out, the man just needs help trimming an overgrown tree. Taro handles the branches in record time and then goes on a helping spree, making a girl eat her veggies and calming crying kids in the park. Shin watches, baffled, wondering if Taro has turned into the town's handyman, or if he's just insanely good at hiding his assassin side. Still, Shin can't help but comment on how ridiculous Taro looks now, thinking about leaving. But before he can, the kid from earlier accidentally shoots a toy arrow at Shin's head, sending the little troublemaker fleeing while Shin grumbles about his day. Later, Shin hops into his car, reflecting on the past 5 years since he last saw Taro. Despite the extra pounds, Taro still radiates that old assassin aura. Shin secretly hopes they can team up again, but his nostalgia is cut short by a call from his boss. When Shin admits he couldn't convince Taro to return, his boss coldly asks if he at least killed him. Shin hesitates, suggesting that Taro, now a chubby retiree, isn't much of a threat. But the boss isn't having any of it, reminding Shin of the gang's golden rule. Anyone who breaks away is erased from existence. If Shin doesn't handle Taro, someone else will, and Shin might end up on the chopping block too. The call ends, leaving Shin with no choice. He reflects on the good old days working with Taro, but knows if someone's got to do the job, it might as well be him, since Taro's fate is sealed either way. The next day, Shin storms into Sakamoto's store, yelling, "It's wartime!" Taro, calm as ever, is behind the counter, reading a newspaper. Shin walks up, acting like he's leaving town. Then, out of nowhere, he pulls out a gun and fires. But Taro spits out a cough drop, knocking the bullet away. Yep, Taro's not messing around. He throws a lollipop at Shin and vanishes. Shin, now confused, can't figure out Taro's next move. Taro distracts Shin by tossing something across the store, then grabs a bag of cough drops and a rubber band. He starts shooting cough drops at Shin, who dives and dodges all over the floor. Just when Shin thinks he's got a chance, Taro throws a bag of flour in his face, blinding him. As Shin stumbles, Taro kicks him across the store. Before Shin blacks out, he wonders, "Why did I think this was a good idea?" Shin wakes up in a bed, shocked to find he's still alive. Aoi and Hana cheer his recovery, explaining he's in a room above the store. Still dazed, Shin is dragged to a family dinner, where he's treated like one of their own. Paranoid, he suspects the food is poisoned, but trained to withstand poison, he digs in anyway. Turns out, the only thing that paralyzes him is how delicious the food is. Aoi, delighted, mentions he's reacting just like Taro did the first time. As Shin continues eating, he's baffled by how this feels nothing like his usual life. He finally understands Taro's motivation to protect these simple moments, realizing why Taro left the assassin world. After dinner, Shin thanks Taro for the meal and decides to leave him in peace. Taro, ever gracious, tells Shin he's welcome anytime. Shin departs, knowing he's still no match for Taro. Back with his boss, Shin faces ridicule for failing to kill Sakamoto. Before his boss can continue, Shin drops to his knees, pleading for Taro's life. The room erupts in laughter, but Shin insists that Taro now has a family. His boss, unmoved, reminds him that Taro broke the rules and must pay. Shin, in a desperate move, offers his own life in Taro's place, admitting he aimed his weapon at someone he admires. Surprisingly, the boss agrees, saying Taro will be spared if Shin takes the fall. But deep down, the boss has no intention of keeping his word. Shin thinks his boss is an idiot for even trying this. Right then, Shin points his gun at him, coolly letting him know he's heard everything and was never going to trust him. The boss is stunned, realizing that Shin really did read his mind. Flustered, he orders his men to take Shin out. In the chaos that follows, Shin moves like a ninja on adrenaline, dodging bullets and taking down goons left and right. Meanwhile, Taro is chilling at home, catching all the action through a radio broadcast. When the sound of gunfire fills the air, Taro calmly inputs a code into his cash register, transforming his cozy shop into a full-on armory. Casual as ever, he picks up a taser like it's just another day. Back in the fray, Shin is a blur of agility, evading and striking with precision. But even he starts to feel the burn, his energy draining fast. For a split second, he lets his guard down. Just as a sniper locks on, Shin dodges the shot and instantly locates the sniper's position. The boss, watching his men drop like flies, demands to know why they're getting wrecked by just one guy. One wounded thug croaks out that it's like Shin can predict their every move. But Shin is already a step ahead, ambushing them before they can even think. He's like a one-man army, ducking and weaving through bullets, then ducking behind cover to reload. That's when it hits him. He's down to his last magazine. Out of ammo and options, Shin knows he needs to find a way out before his luck and bullets run dry. With his last magazine, Shin fends off the enemy while darting around the battlefield like his life depends on it, because it does. Just when he thinks he's pulling off a heroic escape, bam! A bullet to the leg sends him crashing to the ground. Within seconds, he's surrounded, knowing full well there's no way out of this mess. As he prepares for the worst, Shin suddenly sees the three thugs pointing guns at him drop like sacks of potatoes. Enter Taro Sakamoto, casually wielding his trusty taser like it's a TV remote. The boss, seeing his goons fried, yells for the rest to take Taro down. They all charge at once, only to get clobbered with minimal effort. Taro swats them away like flies, using disposable chopsticks to stop two bullets and hurling one like a dart, knocking out a bunch of them. When another guy comes at him with a katana, Taro sidesteps with ninja-level speed and sends the attacker flying with a single kick. Two more baddies unleash a barrage of bullets, but Taro whips out a pair of pens to block them, then hurls the pens right back, taking them out. He MacGyvers his way through the remaining thugs with whatever's around, turning the place into a martial arts playground. In a final, desperate move, the boss and his few surviving minions aim to gun Taro down together. But before they can fire, Taro slices their weapons in half with blades he casually pulls from his apron, then takes them out with ease. Shin is left frozen in shock, finally realizing he's just witnessed the legendary assassin Taro Sakamoto in action. Dazed, he asks how Taro knew where to find him. Taro explains he planted a mic in Shin's gun the previous day when he passed out. Shin, still reeling, confirms he was actually planning to leave town for good today. Before he can utter another word, Taro tosses him an apron and says, you'll earn 800 yen an hour, and if you stay overtime, I'll throw in a bonus. Dumbfounded but with no better options, Shin finds himself working at Sakamoto's store, where Hana and Aoi welcome him like family. In no time, Shin settles into the role, accepting that, honestly, this gig beats dodging bullets for a living. After being hired, Shin is working hard and giving it his all. But while talking to Taro, he starts getting way too excited about their last fight, going on and on about how Taro claimed to almost take out everyone with a single punch. Meanwhile, Aoi, who's sweeping the shop entrance, overhears this, starts thinking about their bloody past, and asks if Taro is ever going back to being a hitman. Taro immediately shuts Shin down, rejecting the idea with everything he's got. Shin, all confused, asks why Taro didn't just kill anyone during that fight, especially if he took everyone down in one go. Taro calmly explains that those were all non-lethal hits. Shin's still processing it, and just when he thinks things are clear, Aoi throws in a curveball about family rules. If he breaks them, she'll ask for a divorce. This completely breaks Taro's spirit, and when his wife sees his despair, she casually drops that she was just testing him. "Yeah, it's fine," she says. "Just make sure to sweep the floor outside. No questions asked." Next, the two head to the market, where Taro has a moment of enlightenment about the joys of buying Chinese buns. He gets all sentimental, imagining his daughter happily munching on them. As Shin's lost in thought, he just can't let go of the mystery of these family rules. He pesters Taro again, asking about it. Taro, total stonewall, telling him to shut it. Then, out of nowhere, a redhead literally falls from the sky, crashing down from the third floor and landing on Taro. And, of course, she wrecks the buns in the process. Taro's mood ruined. His daughter's happiness? Also ruined. With the buns in pieces, Shin urges them to leave quickly because a bunch of thugs are trailing the girl. As he tries to help Taro up, who's now completely out of commission, the girl starts fighting back. Turns out she's got some serious Tai Chi skills. She takes on two of the guys with ease, but a third one sneaks up behind her and grabs her arms, making it a 3-on-1. One of them pulls out a knife, threatening to hurt her, but not kill her. Totally a subtle difference. As the thug goes for her leg, Taro, like a genius, uses a nearby tong to disarm him, snapping the knife like it's a twig. Now the bad guys are getting a real taste of pain as Taro lays them out. The girl, still confused, is like, "Who's this guy?" Meanwhile, the bald thug is starting to sweat bullets. But before he can panic too much, Shin swoops in, knocks him out cold, and puts him to sleep like it's nap time. But just when it seems like it's all over, one of the remaining thugs pulls out a weapon, looking beyond annoyed. But the girl quickly grabs the weapon and knocks the thug out cold using some impressive kung fu moves. While everyone's trying to figure out what just happened, more people show up behind the girl. Taro, ever the hero, quickly grabs her and makes a swift exit with Shin. Meanwhile, around the corner, the leader of the thugs is fuming. One of his lackeys says she managed to escape, which only makes him angrier. He yells that they killed his entire clan just to capture her, and now, if she escapes, it'll all have been for nothing. In a fit of rage, he starts taking his frustration out on the guy who failed to catch her, beating him senseless. The leader orders his team to send someone else to deal with the girl, but before they can, the guy who messed up loses his head, quite literally. One of the other assassins steps in, cutting the guy's head off while he's still screaming. The leader, unfazed, then commands the evil twins to capture her. He tells them that if they succeed, they'll have total control over the illegal market. The bald guy wonders if they'll be able to kill the kid, but the leader shrugs it off, saying he doesn't care. The psychopathic twins grin at the opportunity, excited by the challenge. As Shin and Taro continue fleeing across rooftops, they discover that the girl isn't just from any mafia family. She's from the notorious Liu clan. When Shin asks why they're chasing her, she reveals she's carrying a key that opens a secret vault belonging to her clan. Shin, in his usual sarcastic tone, starts rattling off a meaningless code and questions why it's even important. The girl, however, reveals the key's true significance. Her parents died defending it. Flashbacks of her parents telling her to run as their hideout was invaded fill her mind. They told her that if she didn't protect the vault, she'd never be able to face them again in the afterlife. Shin, completely uninterested, brushes it off, saying it's not his problem, and mutters that it's just an emotional spiel. The girl, however, isn't done and threatens to crush his foot. Shin attempts to chase her, but Taro steps in, nearly choking him with his shirt. Then, Taro asks the girl if she knows how to bake, to which she replies that her father didn't teach her, but rather, how to make the perfect chicken. Taro, in his usual odd way, says that's good enough to get his help, but in return, she'll have to make buns for him. The girl, a little confused but intrigued by Taro's offer, is about to accept when Shin suddenly yells, warning that one of the thugs has caught up with them. Before Taro can react, his round face morphs into a punch-ready force, and he hurls the assassin across a building. The girl, with a smirk, says she already told them they were wasting time and things are getting worse by the second. Shin, slightly bewildered, asks who the two crazy guys are. She answers, they're the twin assassins, explaining that they charge an absurd amount of money but never fail in their missions. They're infamous serial killers who get a twisted joy out of killing people, and with time, they've developed a hobby of drawing faces on their victims, delighting in their own notoriety. The twins, trying to make light of the situation, quip that they should be ashamed of their fame. But before they can finish their sentence, Shin punches the older twin, only for him to calmly block it, not missing a beat. Then, the assassin asks Shin if he's upset because they killed his friend, and he follows it up with a smug remark, only a rookie assassin wouldn't know Mr. Sakamoto. But before he can even respond, someone tells the assassin to keep talking while he can. Then boom, Taro appears out of nowhere, faster than light, and lands a punch so hard that even your great-great-grandchild would feel it. The force of the blow sends the guy crashing to the ground, and the entire floor collapses beneath them, sending everyone plummeting. The guy, feeling the impact, just knows that punch was ridiculously strong. Meanwhile, Taro, in his usual calm demeanor, casually thinks to himself, a bun would also be nice, like this whole thing isn't a big deal. Back in the chaos, the assassin leader tries to reason with the girl again, offering her a quick and silent death if she hands over the key. She, however, refuses to give it up, saying she'll never hand over her life. The assassin then coldly comments that her parents said the same thing before he killed them. The girl snaps, losing control and trying to attack, but Taro grabs her, sending her flying backward. Shin warns her not to get emotional and to let them into her mind. But she retorts that this isn't just her story, it's the desire of generations, and her father died protecting it. She starts getting increasingly emotional, remembering everything. At that moment, the assassin throws a kunai at her, but Taro effortlessly catches it with his bare hands, telling her not to interfere. He's too close to finally seeing her dear parents once again. Then, Taro's hand starts bleeding, and the girl questions why he cares about someone he doesn't even know. This triggers a flashback to Christmas, back when Taro wasn't married to Aoi yet. He was going to give her a present, but his face was covered in blood. She asks him if he killed someone again, and he admits he needed money, so he went back to work. She refuses to take the money, telling him he can't change. They can't stay in the past. She steps away and jumped from the building. Taro went after her, saving her from the fall. In the end, they both tumble down, and Taro protects her in the snow, showing a rare vulnerable moment between the two. After the intense fall, Taro gets up, slightly dazed but not too bothered. Aoi comments that the fall was way more intense than she expected, then emotionally adds that he must have been afraid of losing her. She says that everyone feels that way, everyone is loved by someone. Aoi looks at him, then Taro declares that he won't kill anyone else. He even makes it his personal rule. She hesitates but agrees, telling him to stop compensating for all the people he's killed and instead live to save as many people as he can. Shin, with his telepathic abilities, starts tearing up as he watches this emotional moment. Back to the present, Taro looking at his bloody hand as it heals. He asks Shin if he understands his new, no-killing rule. Shin, immediately agreeing, says he gets it. The twins then attacks Taro, who seems to be able to dodge their attacks effortlessly, with Shin handling his share of the battle with ease. They realize that even a fat, naive-looking guy knows how to fight, so they prepare a coordinated move, using bags and making diagonal cuts in an attempt to overwhelm him. But Taro, unfazed, easily deflects their attacks without breaking a sweat. They soon realize they're getting nowhere, and the twins prepare to step up their game. Meanwhile, the twin assassins get frustrated and decide to take things up a notch, charging at them. But before they can do anything, Taro throws a cauldron at the bald guy, nearly flattening his skull, knocking him out cold. The emo assassin, seeing his brother knocked out, completely loses it, charging at them with his fury. Taro swiftly breaks his weapon, leaving the assassin utterly shocked and defeated. Seeing that things are escalating, the older twin decides it's time to go after the girl, but Shin stops him by grabbing him around the neck with a rope and bringing him to the ground. Meanwhile, Taro then smashes a refrigerator and takes the guy down. The girl, witnessing all this, is stunned. She asks who they are, and Taro simply replies, "Just two salesmen." The leader in Lu's place, now panicking, wonders where she is. The group arrives. The leader gets attacked by Lu, who defeats him with a swift blow. Shin comments that she should have hit him harder, but Taro breaks his neck mentally, telling him to stay quiet. Finally, the girl opens the vault, revealing everything her parents left behind for her. Shin, observing it all, finds it rather eccentric. The vault has an inventory listing that says every head of the family throughout the generations must leave something behind. She finds a bottle of liquor with a note from her father, telling her to drink it when she's old enough. She smiles, realizing how much she resembles him. She takes a drink, and they all eat pork buns while reminiscing. The next day, Taro wakes up with a hangover. Shin realizes how the whole family dynamic works. Shin, now part of the family, Taro introduces the family rule, no killing to him. He tells Shin that if he kills someone, he will kill him. Just then, some very suspicious individuals are seen eyeing their convenience store, and it turns out there's a massive bounty on Taro's head, worth 1 billion yen. The next day, Lu arrives at a convenience store, noticeably late. Shin scolds her for being 2 hours late to work. However, Lu seems to take the situation lightly, brushing it off casually. As they start working, Shin notices something unusual. Detergent has been placed on the juice counter. This irks him, and he tells Lu to be more careful and organized with her work. Despite his advice, Lu remains careless, shoving things randomly into the shelves. Observing her behavior, Shin asks her if she has ever worked before. Lu responds, explaining that she has. In the past, she helped her father dig holes and bury sacks of things, though she doesn't elaborate further. Frustrated, Shin complains to Sakamoto, asking him to fire Lu for disrupting the work environment. Surprisingly, Sakamoto, who rarely speaks, suddenly starts talking. He tells Shin that such behavior is unnecessary and asks Lu to apologize. Both Shin and Lu are shocked to hear Sakamoto speak so much, as he usually remains quiet. Sakamoto continues talking, and his unusual behavior unnerves Shin. Suddenly, another Sakamoto appears, walking in silently and sitting down in his usual spot. The old Sakamoto then reveals that the person who had been speaking was an imposter. He removes a mask from the doppelganger's face, exposing someone else underneath. The imposter admits that he had disguised himself as Sakamoto and reveals that he is actually Sakamoto's friend. He introduces himself, saying he also works at a nearby convenience store and claims to be 18 years old. This surprises Shin and Lu because he looks much older. Sakamoto then clarifies that his friend is actually 27 years old and used to work with him as a hitman. Hearing this, both Shin and Lu are left dumbfounded. The situation escalates as they tie up the imposter in a chair, demanding more information. He explains that there is now a 1 billion yen bounty on Sakamoto's head, which has been officially announced by the JAA. The news is fresh, but many assassins are likely already aware and preparing to come after Sakamoto. The revelation shocks everyone, and they brace themselves for the chaos that is about to follow. And then a pizza delivery arrives. As soon as Shin reads the delivery guy's mind, he is shocked to discover that the man is also an assassin who has come for Sakamoto. The delivery guy appears overconfident and quickly takes Nagumo hostage. However, Sakamoto remains calm and unbothered, not giving the situation much attention. Surprisingly, Nagumo, despite being held hostage, sneaks behind the delivery guy and starts choking him. Just as Nagumo is about to finish him off, Sakamoto stops him, advising against it. Nagumo halts but asks Sakamoto what his plan is to handle the situation without killing anyone, especially since more assassins are likely to come. The tension in the room grows heavy, but Nagumo suddenly laughs, saying he was only joking. Nagumo then reminisces about the old days, smiles, and decides to leave, taking the subdued delivery guy with him. Before leaving, he warns the others that no more amateurs should be sent after Sakamoto. Meanwhile, it's revealed that all their actions were being watched through hidden cameras by another group of assassins. The Watchers discuss their next move, noting that their first agent, the pizza guy, has failed. One of them suggests that to defeat Sakamoto, they need to play smart using time, location, and other factors against him. However, some members of the group remain confident, believing that since Sakamoto has been retired for 5 years, he won't pose much of a challenge. Suddenly, Sakamoto looks directly at one of the hidden cameras and says, "If you even think about stalking me, I'll show you what hell looks like." This shocks the assassins watching the feed, as they realize he has detected their surveillance. The scene shifts to a while later, where Shin and Sakamoto are sitting together. Shin worries about the increasing number of assassins coming after them, wondering how they'll handle it if this continues. Sakamoto advises that they should stay as low profile as possible since they don't know who their real enemy is. At that moment, Hana enters, excited and cheerful, announcing that they're going to the amusement park the next day. Sakamoto's face falls, realizing that visiting a public place like an amusement park is a terrible idea in their current situation. The next scene shows the group at the amusement park the following day. Aoi and Hana are ecstatic, enjoying the rides, while Sakamoto, Shin, and Lu appear tense and uneasy. Sakamoto even starts feeling sick after overindulging in food before getting on a ride. During their visit, Hana talks about how they've come to see Sugar Bunny, a character known for being incredibly strong. While Sakamoto's family is excited and carefree, Sakamoto and Shin remain on edge, deeply worried about the danger looming over them. At this point, Shin explains that they currently have two priorities. First, stopping any enemies targeting them, and second, allowing Sakamoto to enjoy his family time. Lu then questions how they'll identify their enemies. Shin responds by revealing that he can read the thoughts of anyone within a 30-meter radius. Hearing this, Lu freaks out, accusing him of having read her mind as well. Suddenly, Shin picks up on some critical information and warns Sakamoto about an enemy nearby. He pinpoints the location of the threat, identifying a suspicious worker. Lu, meanwhile, distracts Sakamoto's family, giving Sakamoto the opportunity to approach the worker unnoticed. In one swift move, Sakamoto stabs the worker in the chest with a pen, avoiding vital organs and arteries to ensure the man doesn't die. Shin and Lu quickly subdue the worker, and Lu marvels at Sakamoto's precision and skill, noting that he didn't even look directly at his target. Shin explains that this is just the tip of the iceberg of Sakamoto's abilities. Meanwhile, another assassin watches from a distance. This assassin has detailed information about both Sakamoto and Shin, and he begins strategizing how to avoid Shin's mind-reading ability. He concludes that the best way to escape detection is to stop thinking altogether. With this strategy in mind, he walks right past Shin without being noticed, proving that his trick works. The scene shifts to the group on a roller coaster. Lu notices the suspicious assassin and points him out, saying he looks shady. Shin dismisses her, telling her not to judge people so quickly. However, the assassin, hearing Lu's comment, wonders if he unintentionally gave himself away. This realization triggers Shin's abilities, and he immediately alerts Sakamoto that the man is indeed an enemy. The assassin wastes no time and pulls out a gun, aiming at Sakamoto. But Sakamoto uses his specially designed bulletproof glasses to deflect the shot, leaving the assassin stunned. In the chaos, Shin unfastens his safety bar and leaps off the roller coaster, landing directly on the assassin. He quickly unclips the man's safety belt, pulling him down to the ground. Both of them crash onto the roller coaster track below. As they recover from the fall, the assassin remarks that Shin must be insane to pull such a dangerous stunt. But Shin is already prepared to fight. However, the assassin doesn't move a muscle and remains eerily calm, confusing Shin. To make matters worse, Shin finds himself unable to read the man's mind, leaving him unsure of what the assassin is planning. At the last moment, Shin jumps just in time to avoid an incoming roller coaster. While in mid-air, the assassin lunges at him with a knife. Shin dodges the first attack, but the second swipe grazes him, leaving a small cut. The knife is laced with poison, which causes Shin to lose his balance and blurs his vision. The assassin mocks Shin, taunting him by saying he's as good as dead. Despite his condition, Shin retorts that the assassin is overconfident. However, the assassin claims to have seen fear in Sakamoto's eyes, a fear of death, which, in his view, makes Sakamoto a loser. Shin angrily dismisses this as nonsense and counters, explaining that Sakamoto doesn't fear death. His only fear is failing to protect his family. As the roller coaster loops back around, Shin takes a small leap and grabs the assassin, slamming him onto the coaster. They engage in hand-to-hand combat as the ride hurtles forward. The assassin tries to stab Shin again, but Shin barely manages to hold him off. With his vision impaired, Shin finds himself at a major disadvantage. In a desperate move, he uses his mind-reading ability to locate Hana in the distance. Seizing the opportunity, he grabs the assassin and leaps off the coaster, both of them crashing to the ground near a stage where a costumed hero, Sugar Bunny, is entertaining children. Shin quickly dons the Sugar Bunny costume, blending into the performance. The assassin, confused but relentless, attacks Shin again with his knife. Despite his blurred vision, Shin expertly dodges the strikes and lands a powerful punch, leaving the assassin stunned. The assassin can't comprehend how Shin is evading his attacks without being able to see. Frustrated, he tries again, but Shin counters every move and relentlessly beats him down. Meanwhile, Hana and Aoi cheer from the audience, oblivious to the real battle taking place. They believe Sakamoto is enjoying the show with them, but in reality, Sakamoto is guiding Shin through the fight via earpiece, giving him precise instructions on how to counter the assassin's moves. Following Sakamoto's guidance, Shin gains the upper hand and finally knocks the assassin out, ending the fight. The children watching the stage cheer loudly, believing it to be part of the Sugar Bunny performance. As the battle concludes, Sakamoto tells Shin to wrap things up, and Shin claims victory. The episode ends with everyone, including the kids, thoroughly entertained. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more. See you in the next one. Until then, take care.